I promise I won't bite. Actually, did bite.
Comics Plus. Comics Plus, we're doing the live stuff again here. We got the that's Fallout Boy and Agatha Harkness, Uma All Along from Disney, the original show WandaVision. It's a mashup. It's a mashup. I love it. All right, so as the title entices here, we're here to basically talk about WandaVision, give our thoughts on the show. Then you guys can call in and let us know what you think about all of this, what you thought about the show. I know this is kind of a week late or so, like kind of a week late, but I was just busy after the season finale finished. And on top of that, I also wanted to see the behind the scenes featurette that premiered a few days ago to see if they were going to explain a few things. I think I actually learned more about the show through interviews actually than I did through anything else, honestly. Like in terms of like certain episodes that got cut, who was supposed to make cameos and all that stuff about that, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But the behind the scenes, if anything, the most that I learned about the behind the scenes stuff is the fact that half the time Vision was blue, actually, for the black and white scenes. Did you watch the behind the scenes thing?
No, I actually didn't get a chance to watch it.
Okay. So what's interesting about all of this was the fact that when they first started testing Vision and how he would look in black and white, they realized that his actual color, red, looks terrible on like, now that I really think about what they must have saw, it makes me laugh about something else. But he probably looked like kind of like he was doing blackface or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, like he probably looked hella terrible, and they hit that Disney emergency panic button, and they were like, "Oh hell no! Vision looks like he's doing blackface. We need to change that ASAP, fucking sap, right?" Because I'm really thinking about it now. So what they ended up doing was they actually had Vision in. They put him in blue, like they had him doing like Blue Man Group style makeup. And so when we see him in those first couple of episodes, the first 2 episodes of black and white, he's actually in blue makeup instead. It's very interesting. Yeah. Somebody said he probably would be looking like Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball Z or something like that. Yeah.
That's the last thing Disney needs.
Thank you, fasting fat woman. Okay, there you go. Mr. Popo. Yes. But nah. So I get it. I get what they're doing on that point. But yeah, and then the only other thing that I learned a lot about was what was it? It was something else that really interested me. The fact that every Wanda theme song actually had the same chords, actually. Like if you go back and listen to each theme song, that the original the original chord or riff is included in each version of it. So it's actually really clever the way, like, you can really hear it in the 80s episode, the kind of Family Ties, Growing Pains intro, but it's actually included in every version of the story. Yeah. So but yeah, this was an interesting sort of story in development for Wanda. Like, I was personally, overall, I was really, really impressed with this show. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but I ended up loving it. And I said from the beginning, I was like, yo, this is either going to be really, really good or really, really bad. When I saw the trailer, I was just like, I don't know about this show, man. And then the first couple of episodes, I was like, I don't know, man. You know, the balls Disney has. Like we keep saying it. Oh, after every time Disney comes out with something, it's always like, man, are we sure about this? Right? It's like, are we Guardians of the Galaxy? Are we sure about this? And it ends up becoming something we all love, and WandaVision was no exception. I was just like, man, I really didn't think, like, I was really worried about them getting past episode 1 just because it was so weird and so different, you know. But gradually by episode 4, I was basically kind of sold on it. So I like how it was working, and it basically reminded me of Black Mirror Light. Have you ever watched Black Mirror?
Yeah, I've seen Black Mirror. Yeah,
very similar. It really reminded me of like Black Mirror Light, even though I know there were nods to the Twilight Zone, but to me it felt like something out of Black Mirror, and I actually really liked it in black and white. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Is what I learned behind the scenes is the fact that they actually filmed it in front of a live audience.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The first 3 episodes, like that sitcom style, that was all done in front of a live action audience, and I'm so like impressed by that. But not just that style, but just I'm very curious if like certain jokes, you know, in this decade. Obviously in previous decades it wouldn't have landed the same way, so I'm like, I would have been laughing at almost everything, but I noticed in the show that they didn't have that sort of laughter at certain times, only other times. So it was very interesting to me. Like I honestly can't even remember. I honestly can't remember when the audience was actually included. The only time I ever remembered the audience really being included was when Evan Peters showed up. Yeah. Like I heard people applauding like that.
Yeah.
But I don't actually remember any other interaction with the live audience.
I think there was some in the black and white episodes. There's a couple like laugh track type thing whenever she would make a joke, you know, like something.
Yeah. My husband with his impervious head, right? Yeah. No, I think you're right. Right.
I do feel like during that era, those episodes, it like I like the sudden tone shift, like, you know, like something odd would happen, and you know, like she'll get straight face and then immediately go back into like that kind of sitcom-y 50s, 60s sitcom, like a sudden shift, like something happened and she'd be like, oh, and then she was like, my husband, something that
right. Or that one time she really broke character and she was just like, no, looked at the beekeeper and was just like, no, and reset everything. It was I mean, to me, the thing about WandaVision was the fact that it proved what every Marvel fan knew from all time, and we've been waiting for this forever. Ever since Wanda showed up in Age of Ultron, we have been waiting for Marvel to really, the MCU to really show just how powerful Wanda really is. And I'm glad that it took this time to finally get to this point, because the payoff, oh my God, the payoff for that was great. Like honestly, that's probably the sexiest. This might be the sexiest MCU outfit yet. At this point. Her final outfit here, I mean, it looks like her father, Magneto, that father. It straight up looks like something an X-Men would wear.
It's very cool.
It's amazing the way they did it. So I'm very impressed. I mean, that it's probably the best outfit they've made.
I think so.
Like, it looks great. Like, like how to be sexy without showing anything. That's the way. That's the way you do it right there.
Yeah, I was like, my God, them hips though, and legs she was like really crushing.
Oh man, the design was amazingly done, and like I said, to me personally, it really does look a lot like Magneto, something that Magneto would wear. But her final outfit was great, and it like the wig that they used on her, everything. Like, I mean, yeah, it could have come off really bad, but it really was really fantastic. And I was a little worried with the whole thing because the fact that they had her in the mom jumper most of the time, and I'm like, is she really about to do this entire fight in her mom sweatpants and everything? And I was like, come on, man, at least let her transform into her Age of Ultron type outfit, right? But now I understand why they didn't do that, because they wanted her, they wanted that payoff to be so glorious. And yeah, I loved it. I loved it so much, man. It was a really good job. They did a really good job with that. Very well. But no, I really liked how they handled all of the decades, from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and into the 90s. It was done really, really well. Personally, I think my favorite episode of all of them, outside of the finale, was probably the 90s episode.
That was fun.
Yeah, I think everybody just acted the hell out of, and particularly that final scene of Vision confronting Wanda about the fact that he looked into Norm's mind without her influence, and they're yelling at each other, and like I actually thought that was really telling in terms of television history, the way television history is told. That is exactly the way it basically kind of worked. Like, I remember those times of Roseanne, or even Family Ties, but particularly Roseanne. That's when you used to have like television started to get kind of serious. You used to have people like breaking down, crying on television, even though it was live. And that scene, that standoff between Vision and Wanda, and the way he was just like, you can't control me with the others, Wanda. And Wanda just looks at her, looks at him, and she's like, can't I? And walks off. I'm like, yo, roll credits. I'm like, whoa.
It's
scary, right?
Yeah.
It's scary.
Like, honestly, it's like now that they've I guess clarified, or how powerful she is. And it's just like, I think like the MCU is just going to be much different now. Like, I think almost scarier. I mean, like, we had Doctor Strange. She's powerful, but he's stable. But she's powerful, but she's still a little unstable.
She's very unbalanced. Very unbalanced.
Still struggling with the loss of her kids, and I'm really hoping we get a sort of House of M type movie or something. I don't know if that would be too much, because I think, well, maybe components of it, like a mini.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I feel like this was the closest we're going to get
to that,
to House of M. Like, would you say this was essentially more or less? I felt like WandaVision was basically House of M.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see. Yeah, it's kind of like an isolated version of House of M.
But I mean, you make a good point. Like, the problem is, I don't know if they do, maybe, because we know confirmed, for sure confirmed, Wanda is actually she's going to be in Doctor Strange.
She's filming it now.
She's filming, right? right. Elizabeth Olsen. She's filming right now with Benedict, and he confirmed it. So, my guess is that it's very possible that we might get a glimpse of House of M, but I can't imagine it, because I feel like Wanda already, the whole concept of House of M I know there were 2 comics that WandaVision was based on. In I don't remember what the other comic was called, but I do know for sure House of M. But the whole concept of House of M was Wanda creating an alternate reality that everybody was involved and everybody was taking place, had characters to play, you know, and Magneto was essentially lord of this town. I feel like that essentially was WandaVision. We saw that concept come into fruition, and I can't imagine them doing that again on a grander scale with like Peter, you know, with Wolverine, with all those people. I can't imagine them redoing that again. By Tom King.
I was thinking like, because the Doctor Strange movie is like dealing with the multiverse and stuff, so I figured we may get like a glimpse of a House of M, you know, universe, or a glimpse of a universe where there are mutants, and they may be a version of her that isn't a witch or whatever she's supposed to be, and she's actually a mutant. So I don't know. I feel like this Doctor Strange movie is going to be a way for them to kind of showcase a lot of these things without having to make movies for each of these different storylines or different characters, or at least a sort of introduction to see like what fans like. If fans like react to a certain like oh, they really like this, maybe we can go this way and maybe make this a movie.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, possibly.
I don't, because the problem is that the difference between episodic style in a movie is you need to make it sort of all kind of make sense and have some sort of key grips, because the thing about doing it episodically is like you can go back to certain stories, you can go back to certain writing, like even, for example, even the ruins situation with you know, they repeated it a few times, and then it was like previously on WandaVision, and then they showed Agatha explaining what ruins are, because of the fact that they kind of wanted you to remember that toward the end when Wanda was just throwing hands like that, and it's kind of like, but you know, if you did that straight up in a movie, it may not work the same way. So I don't know exactly how they're going to handle it, but I basically felt like we got the House of M sort of idea, the main concept, because I think, for me personally, the reason House of M worked so well was because of it wasn't really Wanda being in charge. Well, she created that reality to please her father, Magneto, among other things. And then I think Magneto ended up killing Quicksilver or injuring him or something like that. And then at the end, obviously, we got no more mutants. And so there was a huge fallout from that situation where I can't imagine a Doctor Strange movie like Wanda overshadowing, you know. I feel like with Doctor Strange 2, it's essentially going to be what Benedict has always sort of teased, was chaos magic versus chaos, the implementation of chaos magic versus the studied, practiced magic that Doctor Strange is sorcerer supreme of.
So you think she's a bad guy?
She won't be necessarily a bad guy, but I think she'll be someone who's going her own direction, learning magic the way most people are not supposed to. And Doctor Strange is going to have a hard time trying to keep her under control, because that's the funny, you know, the one of the funniest things I saw on Instagram that I posted on my Instagram was the fact that, you know, I mentioned this with during my reaction to the finale, was I feel like I understand why, but I also feel like a Wanda needed some sort of accountability. Like Tony Stark was right. Like, you may not agree with what he wanted to do in Civil War, but there was a really good point about why Wanda needed to be under control. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no that, like, she's dangerous. She's hella dangerous. And then, you know, at the end of the season finale, they showed these people. It's like, yo, wow, Wanda, they look pretty mad, and she's like, yeah, what the fuck they gonna do? But she kind of right. Like, what are they gonna do? Yo, they like you wouldn't.
They can't hold her. They can. Like they can't even mob her. It wouldn't work. They can't do anything.
Oh, yeah, what you gonna like? They really rolled up like they gonna do something. I'm like, yo, it's like she didn't say it, but yeah, we were all kind of thinking it. Like, yeah, what they gonna do? Like, who's gonna stop her at this point? And I do feel like Wanda does need some form of accountability. I don't think Doctor Strange will be that dude to come in and teach her anything. And because as Agatha already led into, is that she essentially has the potential to be more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme, which is Doctor Strange. And I mean, Doctor Strange saved us from Thanos, but Wanda could handle Thanos at that moment. So and Wanda wasn't even at her full power at that point.
Yeah,
she just was angry. She was just pissed at Thanos. Yeah. So
I can imagine if we had the Wanda now back then.
Oh my god!
It would have been a thing to get rid of him. It would have been over before he even started.
It would have been. Oh my god! Wanda would have taken out everything. Back then, yeah, like that. I can't imagine what it would be like, but I honestly do feel like Wanda's whole deal at this point is going to be to get her kids back. That's about it.
She wants her family back.
Right. I don't know what's up with Soul Vision, but yeah,
I'm curious. Like I'm sure he's obviously going to come back eventually in something, and I don't know if he's going to be Like I don't know if he's going to be a problem or a solution to something in the future. Like I don't know. I don't know. I can't imagine he's going to be a problem, but you never know.
Yeah. Because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but a great job. All right, so let's. I mean, honestly, let's talk about the main question here, though, because. Did the season finale essentially deliver? That's the thing. Did this show deliver? Because there were a lot of comments and a lot of people were got kind of caught up in the fan theorizing, and there were I remember there was even a Magneto leak like 2 episodes into it or something. There was a leak going around showing Magneto showing up in the Wanda town, and when I saw that, I'm like, I don't want to see this shit. So I even was in the back of my mind something kind of thinking that maybe that was going to show, and that was completely a fake leak. There was some other stories and personally, I'm glad that people were making up stuff. I'm glad that people were making up stuff because it's kind of it's kind of your own doing. I wouldn't say it's if it's your own fault if you got disappointed, but I would say I think it's a good lesson learned. If you went down, you knew there were Wanda leaks out there, but you went down that road anyways, and you read into them and you believed them, and then by the end of the season finale, it's not what you got. Well, it's kind of lesson learned. Maybe next time not go down these leaks, And I also what? Wait, hold on. Somebody said that I saw a leak that also Vision being pointed at with a gun and somebody waist down in an X-Men costume. That's funny, man. That's hella funny, dude. So that's my thing. And now I do want to clarify that there's 2 different versions. There's the fan leaks that people were making up versus the thought process that people sort of gathered in from celebrity interviews, which I think is very different. So particularly the big one that I think that really upset a lot of people was the fact that the whole Luke Skywalker leak, the whole Luke Skywalker moment. So, and see, I remember somebody was explaining this to me a few weeks ago in a private Discord chat. Was because I didn't even know about this interview, but apparently the whole thing was Elizabeth Olsen was being interviewed, and they asked her, do you think we're going to be getting some sort of Luke Skywalker type cameo at the end of WandaVision, just like the Mandalorian did? And she said that there will be something, but the way she answered it wasn't really like, yes, at the end of this episode there will be, there will just be surprises like that. But people really took that out of context, because when I actually looked at the interview, I'm like, okay, no way did she indicate that there was going to be something huge like at the end of the show like that. Now, exactly. Now, personally, see, this is the other thing is, I was arguing with the Knight about this, because personally for me, Evan Peters was by far much bigger than a Luke Skywalker cameo. Like, that's something that you can only do once. Like personally, I was not a big fan of that Luke Skywalker cameo in the context of what it meant for the Mandalorian story, because I felt like we were going backwards. And what I mean is, like, at the end of that Mandalorian finale, the only thing I heard people talking about was Luke Skywalker. And I was like, yo, what about the last 7 goddamn episodes of The Mandalorian? Like, we're talking about Baby Yoda or Grogu and Ahsoka and Bo-Katan. Like, all I kept on hearing was goddamn Luke Skywalker. People fucking crying over this cameo and everything. And which is, I understand if that's how people felt, but people were acting like it was like the second coming of Jesus Christ or something. Like, suddenly all is right with Star Wars. And I was like, I think people are kind of missing the kind of point about, like, it's not like they're starting the Luke Skywalker TV show or whatever, So I felt like that cameo actually kind of overshadowed what the Mandalorian was supposed to be about. But the Evan Peters cameo, I thought was great, because granted, not where it ended up going is not where anybody predicted, but at that moment in time, that was a feeling I can never recreate. Like, I never saw that coming. Like, I never thought that in a million years that we were going to have the Fox, like, at that time, the assumed Fox Marvel MCU crossovers feeling, and it was just mind-blowing. Honestly, the only other time I ever had that feeling was when the Flash, DC Flash, Ezra Miller, when Ezra Miller crossed over with Grant in Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I was like, holy shit, like, how did it was just amazing that we were witnessing that. So personally, I really liked it. And then also, granted, the other interview where Paul Bettany said,
I get to work with one of my favorite actors.
He said, it's somebody I've always wanted to work with. So he's up here getting interviewed, and he's like, oh, I feel like there's one thing that hasn't been leaked yet, and it's at the end of WandaVision that I finally get to work with one of my favorite actors, someone who I've always wanted to work with for a long time. It ends up being himself. like I thought that was hella funny. I really thought that was, but that's where all the whole Professor X leaks started coming from, and Magneto and everything. Oh my god, man.
Everyone they hear what they want to hear. or they're looking. They already have their opinion what's going to happen, so they're just trying to confirm it. So it's kind of like confirmation bias. They're just looking for tidbits in interviews and articles to confirm what they believe is going to happen. So when it doesn't happen, they get upset because they've already worked themselves up to expect this. Like, oh, this is going to happen. I know it.
True.
And it doesn't. It's like, oh, I didn't get what I wanted. So just throw out the whole show because it sucked for me. And it was overall, I would say this, my overall opinion of this season was it was sort of a masterclass to be cliche in how to build a show, because it really, like, you couldn't predict the ending. I mean, you could speculate, but it went from like half sitcom to I think it increased the intensity and the drama at a perfect pace. Like it actually built up the tension perfectly throughout the season till it came to like a fever head at the end. It's my opinion.
I agree with that. Now, I will clarify though, as the director has also clarified, that there were supposed to be like 2 or 3 more episodes, but they had to cut it for because of the pandemic and such. Because I did think they ended it on a weird number, but I mean, still, 9 of all things. I was like, not 8, not like, okay,
10?
9, right? Let's go for 10 at least. But so there was supposed to be a whole scene where they follow up with what was his name, Scorchy, or the rabbit.
Oh yeah.
The rabbit, the rabbit ended up being a demon in the end. I don't know, Mephisto or not, but it ended up being a demon. So that was that thing. And then there was one other thing where Monica was supposed to have more of a end scene, teaming up and fighting like that. So here we go. Let's see if his internet connection will work. From Lee and you, here's DC Sun in the house. Yeah. Hey, buddy.
What's up?
Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm hoping this works. Yeah, the
let's
connection
see.
here is. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Yeah, the connection is really, really bad here. But yeah, good to see you guys. Sorry for the late. Senior Scratchy. Yeah, sorry for the late hop in, but had a chance, and I'll use it as long as it lasts, basically.
Okay. So DC Sun, what's your thought on overall on the WandaVision show?
As a show, okay.
Yeah, and did you feel like were you disappointed in terms of, like, were you expecting certain people to show up and disappointed because of that?
Let's see.
It's okay. We can still hear you though. So
yeah, we can still hear you.
Yeah, go for it.
What's going on? You can still hear me?
Can you? Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, spotty at best.
It's all good, but we can hear you fine. So yeah, go ahead. Let us know what you think, or not. Okay. It was Agatha all along. That's gonna be my new sound clip. I'm gonna have to write that, get that one down. And we lost them. Yeah, it was Agatha all along. Right. And I gave Japan its internet too. Exactly. All right. Well, where were we? What were we talking about?
Oh, about the episodes that they cut out in Senior Scratchy.
Yeah, Senior Scratchy, and so things like that. But honestly, overall, I think they told the main story that they wanted to tell, and that was essentially, like, we started with this opening of Wanda and Vision, and trying to understand what happened with Wanda and what's going on with Vision, and we ended up with a better version of both characters, I would say. Yeah. All right, let's try it again.
You end up with Okay, so I'll speak quickly just in case. I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the show for several different reasons. The easiest way to put it is, considering how COVID and things are going on, everybody's stuck indoors. I think it came at the perfect time, not just because of a streaming service, but it came at the perfect time to actually go over a story, go through it slowly, introduce characters, concepts, and things of that nature, but also expand on those characters and the MCU. Did I think the show delivered? Yes. Do I think people's expectations may have possibly been higher than what we got at the moment? Definitely. Because we're always looking for a little bit more than what we get. But at the same time, I was satisfied.
Okay, good. Do you guys feel like Doctor Strange was?
I like
Oh.
the nods. Yeah. Oh, sorry, no. I liked the nods and things to different characters, the Easter eggs and things in the background. How it had us looking at different things in the background, trying to decipher what's going on or who's there. Because at one point in the kitchen, I even sent you guys a message in a line group and was like, "Hey, these things mean something in witchcraft. Do you think it has anything to do with Wanda and her area?" The shot from outside their house, I was like, "Hey, look, it looks exactly like the back of the Infinity Gauntlet," and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of things that are there that I think are layered there on purpose, and they're not being discussed right now to give it more longevity. Personally, and what were you going to say about Doctor Strange?
I was just gonna say, do you guys think Doctor Strange needed to show up in this show to make it
Not
better?
at all.
No, not
Right?
at all.
If anything, I think it would have taken away from the show.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Overkill.
Though the argument could be made is like, yo, Wanda was creating some pretty crazy witchcraft. It goes back to the whole Shield Avengers argument. It's like, okay, if Thor is having a problem like on this level of things,
why don't you call other
right? Where's the rest of the Avengers? What are they doing? Type of thing. So it's like, this is like some major magic happening right now, and Doctor Strange was like nowhere to be found. But there's always can be an excuse for that.
There's going to be an explanation, because I mean they're filming the movie now, and I look at it as they're definitely going to discuss that in the movie. It may not be throughout the entire movie, but they'll at least address it at some point and then move on from there. But I'm super happy he wasn't there, because if he was there, the show wouldn't have been 9 episodes. It would have been a lot shorter, and the story wouldn't have been as deep. Doctor Strange, as cool of a character as he is, his movie was entertaining to a point, but it didn't feel as deep for character building for me as some of the other ones did. And that's also, he's only had one of his own, so we'll see how that goes from the next movie. But I don't know, parts of it felt like he was like a kind of like, some people say, like an angry Tony Stark. I'm like, I kind of get what you mean, but I think for him, he just needs more airtime so you can see how he is on his own. Because any other interaction we've had, he's been with the Avengers.
Right, and I agree with that. Like the only time I've actually ever really liked Doctor Strange interactions is when he's with other Avengers, or when he cameoed in Thor Ragnarok, like that. His own movie himself, I've honestly felt was kind of boring.
He was salty.
Yeah. It wasn't even that. It wasn't just that. It was just it was a very basic origin story.
There's one character that I think could have been done justice a little bit better. Of course, the connection's going out. Because we're having
it's okay. You're so far so good, but I do feel like this development. DC Sun makes a really good point about the development of Wanda getting to the point where we saw her broken. Like it's something that we mentioned back during Endgame was survivor's guilt, but more importantly, we never really where Far From Home, Spider-Man Far From Home dealt with the return, and kind of in a comical way, called it the blip, and talked about the age difference and things like that. We never really saw the dark side, or the kind of serious point of disappearing and coming back 5 years later and not knowing what the hell to do. And more specifically, it never even really crossed my mind that much about how much pain Wanda had been in since Age of Ultron, if not earlier. Like, she has lost a lot, and she came back and had nothing. Even though she came back, it was like, it was kind of a throwaway line with she comes up and she's like, "You took everything away from me," and then Thanos is like, "I don't even know who you are." You know, we're all laughing. But actually, there was something kind of serious about that. Like, oh shit, Wanda is actually in some pain here. So I'm glad that they
one of the
handled it
characters
well.
I felt was constantly in pain from the time that we get introduced to her and Quicksilver up until now, because even in the comic books, you're looking at characters that go from one trauma to another, one battle to another, with little to no downtime. And the only time that they kind of address that directly happens with Captain America, happens with Iron Man. And then you're looking at Wanda, and it's like she lost her city, her family, her brother, and then her lover. And it's like, yeah, she hasn't really had a chance to deal with anything. So her making this little bubble of a society and a culture for herself so she could try and deal with it, but not directly, is sad. It's heartbreaking. I think that was one of the saddest things I've seen in the MCU, outside of people who's lost a family member. They've spent a good 5-year stretch dealing with it, and the person pops up again. That is traumatizing. You have to deal with, because you found a way to try and accept it, and then when they're there, of course you're happy to see them, but now you also feel conflicted with those feelings. It's like, well, what do I do now? And are you going to be around from here on out because something massively traumatizing happened? You know, it's hard. It's really, really hard.
Agree.
And I like that about the show.
Now here's the final question. I think that we'll ask as a group, and then I want to get to some calls. Do you feel like they dropped?
Is it what's up?
What? No. Do you feel? Well, actually, it's a twofold question, because do you feel like they essentially dropped the ball on the whole mutant situation, and particularly sort of dropped the ball with Evan Peters not being a Quicksilver? The whole Ralph Boner situation is, he'll be back. He'll be back. It was Agatha all along. So, like, I agree with most of everything that they did, but I do feel, a part of me feels like that whole that was a kind of a, that was almost, if not worse than the Mandalorian. No, the Iron Man 3. What the hell's his name? The Mandarin.
The Mandarin.
The Mandarin, yeah, the Mandarin.
Yeah.
They dropped the ball, like, so. I just feel like, I wonder if they really dropped the ball. Okay, so
you said drop the ball on which character?
On basically Evan Peters, Quicksilver, Mephisto? The whole alternate Quicksilver reality situation, making like, I'll never like, one of the best memes I saw was like, all that for a boner joke. Like, all that work just to make a boner joke, right?
Yeah, I will say that out of the entire specific joke was this, and I was like, I waited for that. It's pretty stupid, but outside of that, I think it did a good job, and I do think that they did nod to the multiverse, but because they wanted to dive into it deeper at a later date. I'm gonna walk my computer over to the door.
Okay, no, but it's like the third time Marvel has,
poor Wi-Fi crap.
No problem. It's the third time Marvel has kind of dicked with us about multiverse-ish, or not even multiverse, but like sticking to canon. So we had the Mandarin, then we had Mephisto. I'm sorry, not Mephisto. Mysterio, and now we have this Ralph Boner thing, and it's like, damn, man. Like, but this one probably hurt the most. I felt,
you're basically literally getting boned, but not enjoying it.
Now, the other question I was kind of wondering is, what about Wanda essentially being a mutant? Like, I feel like
Oh,
like I don't think it was necessarily addressed,
can't wait
because
to
I
answer
think at some
Mm.
point they will get to it, because you can't just lay over this and say, okay, well, Wanda was a baby witch, because you still got to explain Quicksilver. If anything, they need to explain the fact that how is Wanda dyeing her hair red all this so perfectly all these years, but, and Quicksilver suddenly went gray. But so
That's an
I
easy
still
answer.
feel like Wanda is a mutant. They just haven't figured out what a mutant is yet. But she also is a witch as well. So yeah.
Yeah. I'll let Tyrone go first.
Oh, well, I guess for me, the fact that they didn't address her as being a mutant is fine, because they haven't mentioned mutants at all. We haven't heard anything about mutants as far as I can remember. So unless they're gonna go with mutants existed all along, but they were in hiding and somehow people were squirreling them away somewhere, I don't know if they're gonna go with that. But I feel like if they would have went into that too deeply, it could have thrown off the story a bit for me. But I don't know. I mean, obviously they're master storytellers and a lot of things they do, so they probably could have delivered in a way.
They just chose not to, I suppose.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like, I mean, they put a lot of production work into this, and I do feel like that the whole boner joke was kind of like, damn, you did all that just to end it on a boner joke. I'm like, all right then, I guess if that's what you want to do, go with that. I was kind of stalling for. I do like the Stranger Things poster that they went with as well. This was really cool.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was really cool. I'm waiting for DC Sun to get back in, but I think he froze up again. So, they really gotta figure out a way, especially in Japan. Like, there's got to be good portable internet hotspots for people to use. Like, I'm sure it's expensive, but like, this is a problem I also have when I'm traveling, but there's just gotta be, because hotel Wi-Fi does not kick it. If you have a landline, sometimes it's better, but even then,
I think the only country that has great hotel Wi-Fi is Korea, but they have the best fastest internet in the world. Like,
that's a good point.
Yeah, their airport internet was putting every other internet ever used to shame. It was like so fast. I was like, how is this so fast? But yeah, so I agree with you. Like, even when I went home last month, I had to get like a portable Wi-Fi, and it was okay. It was I just really used it for my phone, but like, it really sort of sucked. Like, I was trying to like listen to music and stuff, and
right, exactly. So you can basically do only the basic stuff like email and things like that, but even the streaming or whatever. But there's got to be a better way, because you see all these IRL Twitch streamers doing it, but
unless they're just using their phone data, I don't know.
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm actually going to have to talk to some IRL people about that, because it becomes a problem. But the only problem is I don't want to pay monthly for something like that when I only need it every once in a while. So I get that point. Like, I tried doing some reactions from my hotel when a few days ago. I'm like, this is not gonna work. So I was like, let me just wait till I get back home. Even when I was in New York, it was the same deal. I'm waiting for DC Sun to reconnect so he can he can give his piece on Wanda being a mutant. What did you think about the end credits of Monica? Hold on. No, there he goes. Okay. Hello. It's all good, dude. It's all good.
Yeah.
DC Sun is on set right now. He's filming. Is this a movie this time?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of filming a movie, and I have to be careful of where I go, because they're actually filming inside of the hotel we're in, so I can't go in certain areas, and it's nothing but dead zones for Wi-Fi. They don't
have a LAN cable. They just don't even do the LAN cable thing here.
No.
Yeah, I hate how hotels do that. It's really annoying.
I actually asked, and the excuse behind not doing it, no one uses it. And it's like, well, no one uses the Wi-Fi because that shit don't connect. Excuse me.
I know that. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. They don't have LAN cables, but suddenly they started making these like portable booths called station work in every station where you can set up an office. I'm like, ew, okay, whatever.
Yeah, and then it doesn't work. So it's like, then what's the use of having it?
Right.
Right. If I caught up on time very quickly as far as mutants, I do think that when they were talking about Monica, dormant gene, also with the twins, she has red hair because that's part of her mutant gene being awakened, and Quicksilver the same thing, but him obviously being silver, but not having the same power. Almost two sides of the same coin kind of thing. His magic is through speed, where hers is other, so to speak, but also heightened because of the stone, which is also why she survived and became stronger. But
that face
having
though.
mutants there, I think the idea, hopefully he's still there.
It was Agatha all along.
You can do it.
And I froze DC's faces too.
This is one of those times I wish I could call Wanda and have her fix the Wi-Fi.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
We can hear you though.
Yeah. If anything, try to call in. Let me see if you can I deactivate his camera at least? Edit mic settings. No, I was gonna see if he can, if he deactivates. Oh, there you go.
All right.
You can also try DC Sun just deactivating your camera, maybe, and then if you just being voice, maybe that'll work better. I don't know.
Let's see.
Yeah, that might work.
And how do you do? Let's see. How
How
do you do that?
DC Sun should cosplay Thanos. Okay, that might work.
No freaking clue how to do that. You see? Oh, stop cam.
Yeah.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, no problem.
Is it any better?
I think so.
Yeah.
It probably is. Let's see. Try it this way. Yeah.
Well, I'd say worst case scenario, just use a thumbnail of my pretty mug and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think that the mutant gene is there and available. Possibly. Wanda made to open it and expose other people to it. You still there? Can you hear anything I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So the idea that Wanda is Wanda's a mutant is always there, but her making the hex bubble, people going through it, and I think their way of explaining how Monica going through it multiple times changed her DNA on a cellular level helped to bring that about for some people, is what I'm hoping happens.
Okay.
Unless they have
and we lost him. Damn, he was good. But no, he actually makes a really good point where it's possibly those townspeople might be some of the first to be sort of infected with the mutant gene, so to speak, because Monica's cells have been changed, right? But all those people under the hex have been there for the longest time. So that's very possible that the people in that town could be ground zero for the mutant gene as well. That's a good point.
I agree. And it's just a nice little way to introduce it without having to be too heavy an explanation also.
Right. Cody, I appreciate the $5 as well. Thank you so much. They're actually using Wanda's post mutant where she is a witch, which is post 2014. Cool.
Yes.
I could dig it. Man.
But they also gave her Magneto's influence new costume, so I thought that was cool too.
That's what I'm saying. Like you don't make a costume like that accidentally. Like there's way too much of a like coincidence. Her neck area is the same design as Vision's the Mind Stone setup and everything like that. And then the garters and everything is almost exactly like Magneto's Age of Apocalypse or no, I'm sorry, Dark Phoenix outfits. So man. I don't know. Okay, let's take.
Introduce.
Go ahead, DC son.
No, I think they're going to start introducing mutants and Fantastic Four in the next, I'd say, 2 years.
Yeah,
Basically, a way to bring in right after Eternals, when and if it ever comes out. When Eternals hits, it'll be on the tail end of that, because it'll be the explanation for why there are mutants and things, because people being descendants of Eternals, having that dormant gene, that kind of stuff, and that's why.
right. Very similar to the what they were doing with Inhumans a little bit, because I think Inhumans was kind of like a test. You're right, but Inhumans was somewhat like a test run to play with the whole mutant gene or whatever. But yeah, I'm down with it. All right, so we're gonna open up the lines here, because I got about 20 minutes, and then that is it, guys. So we're gonna start taking some questions here. Ronan Unchained, you are on. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
What's up,
Not as good as Tyrone, but we're good.
Yeah. That was my headphones.
Yeah,
That's good. The title, did it deliver or not? I think, looking back at it, and I always say, how do we feel about a movie or show a year later, or 2 years later, or a few months later, or at the end of the year? And I will look back and people will be like, all right, we didn't get Doctor Strange, which would have been nice, and at least the one that, did the show need it? No, but it would have been nice and made sense of all characters in the MCU. But we'll appreciate that, like, we have to spend roughly about solid 7 hours with these two characters who, to me, have been some of the highlights in the movies like Age of Ultron or Civil War, where it's like, that's a great moment with those two. I wonder if one day they'll give them a movie for 2 hours or something like that. I'll just see how that feels. And Akasan, I think you put it best, where episode 5, at least for me, is my favorite from beginning to end. And I love the finale, but because that argument of Norm has a family and
right,
the dynamics, and even episode 3, where people the 70s one, which has the best intro in my opinion. But that's Vision trying to compose himself, trying to be a dad, and Wanda trying to compose herself to be a mom. And I thought this is beautiful. I don't care if at the end of it it's all fake or not. That the fact that these are the first parents, besides Tony and Pepper, they're like, oh, okay, how are we gonna do this? Vision freaking out and just doing the, and I'm like, okay, that's what I'm not ready to be a dad yet. I'd like to be one day, but like, all right, Vision's doing it better than I would do it.
No, I thought it was great. Like his the acting from from everybody in that entire scenario was so good. And then the fact that Agatha or Agnes at that time was showing up randomly like that completely subverted everything from this idea. And like Wanda was about to crack, and then ding dong, oh God, Agatha or Agnes is back here. And here we go. It's freaking Quicksilver. Like it was so well done. And then on top of that, with just Vision just saying how scared he is, but he wouldn't let go of this thought process. He's just like, wait, Wanda, why are there no children? No, I walk through this place every day. Next episode, boom, suddenly there's children everywhere. So I love to roll credits on a motherfucker like that. I'm be like, no, conversation is over. Like just run. That was great. No, it was a great story.
It's unique because you're enjoying these as characters, and I'm studying theater and film, and I'm getting it both ways, where it's like, oh, this is great. I'm entertaining, but damn, that's so good acting. Look at Vision. We've never seen this vulnerable and questionable. And I put it up in the chat that it was the first time, even in Civil War, when they were in two different sides, we had never seen them flip out on each other. They're floating right in front of each other. There was different points of views, and they apologized to each other. But it was the first time we saw them freak out. And did you guys know there was a lot of stuff that came out of what didn't happen? Do you guys know about maybe when Wanda heads to the Sword headquarters?
Yeah, she
said more when it came to getting Vision's body for a funeral. Apparently, I saw in an Instagram post that there was a storyboard where she went off, and I'm paraphrasing, but she's more like, yes, Tony Stark did good for us, but also Vision.
I saw
he died
that
twice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, there,
Yeah.
juiciness about it. And hi Dizzy San, DC San. Yeah, this show, it's weird. I'm hoping it's so good for me that I'm hoping we get a Blu-ray out of it though one day, so I could just have my physical copy and be like, all right, there's no Wi-Fi. All right, I could put up WandaVision and just like bathe on the
Right.
50s and all that stuff.
That is the biggest problem though with some of the streaming content is like even with the Netflix stuff, like personally I would just love to have hard copies of a lot of that stuff, but I highly doubt it because it's just honestly Disney and these companies, they want you to stay in tune to the streaming services, so it's gonna I think it's gonna be very rare to have any sort of hardcore 4K copy of any of this sort of stuff. So
that's
which is
sad, man.
disappointing. Yeah, it's disappointing, but at the same time, I understand what they're trying to do because Netflix used to put some of their movies out on physical copy, but then they realized they were wasting their money for most people. So some of us are basically we're the very minority of the people that want physical copies. Even like after WandaVision was over, I watched Age of Ultron, and I think I would have loved to watch it on Blu-ray, but I'm at the same time, oh, wait a second. In 2 seconds, I can be like, bloop, bloop, it's on Disney Plus. It doesn't look as good, but the convenience outweighs that. So I get it. I get it.
Can I post?
I'm with Ronan, Blu-ray.
Yeah, I love Blu-ray.
Because you don't have to worry about Wi-Fi. Yeah, the quality is
you would know.
Right? But then also it's like there's content that they'd have there that they don't always post on the streaming services, like behind the scenes, extra conversations, stuff like that. And those little nuggets of what they would have done or what's in the storyboards, all that kind of stuff. It's for me as an actor, it's interesting to see, but I think it's also interesting for fans because it's like, oh, hey, this is the creative direction they were going in, and we never knew. Or this creative direction where they're going in, but it's not out into the actual TV show because it's cut for time or something. Because that happens a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot of fantastic stuff that gets filmed that you never get to see because it gets cut for time. Or the flow.
I do recommend a lot of people check out the behind the scenes, but even the behind the scenes that wasn't aired, like I'm seeing so much stuff. Like even that scene with Wanda in her OG Scarlet Witch outfit, that was all done on a green screen. I'm talking about like the 90s look where she's just talking to Herb, and I felt subconsciously I did feel that scene was a little or something looked kind of off about it, but I didn't realize that entire shot was green screened. It's amazing to see some of that. Like the behind the scenes didn't really cover a lot of that, but even with Agnes or Agatha, her whole that one take where she's like, she had a more explosive version of her talking about the Scarlet Witch, and she's like, "Here you are making breakfast for dinner."
The monologue,
It was a completely different take. I like the version that they did instead, though, but it is interesting about that. Okay, Ronan. Sorry, did you have a question or so? Because I got a lot of people, and I want to get through this.
Yeah, absolutely. Very quickly, and I even think about it, though we didn't get Doctor Strange, and depending on points of view of would it made more sense and would it taken away from the show, I either way swing both ways of it. Of like, it would have been nice to see him in the end credits, not in the show's episodes, but in the end credits would have been like, yes, he's watching.
I agree.
The realms. But do you think this is something from Kevin and the MCU where they're saying, okay, we just finished this big climactic 10-year, 12-year journey with the Infinity Saga. How do we stay fresh and not just bombard people with information and content? Because this is weird to say, but the whole last year that the Earth stood still basically was sort of a good thing for the MCU that we didn't get anything, and it just made us wait. Just wait till WandaVision comes out. Wait till Black Widow eventually comes out, and then you'll start getting stuff of what we're doing next as a big journey. And I think that's what they're doing with the reason that we didn't get Doctor Strange. Do you think that's what they're doing, or you think it's just like?
So are you saying Kevin Feige enjoyed this real life in game that everybody was in, just sitting around, just doing nothing, and just dead ass stay at home all day? Thanks to Thanos? Real life Thanos. By the time we literally get back to business, it's going to be where Endgame is 2023. Is that what you're trying to say? We are living the Endgame. Okay, got it.
It
No, but
it would make it interesting for fans though.
because if people are like, because everything basically Far From Home takes place in the future at this point, but people could argue, oh, it doesn't feel so relatable, it doesn't feel like the future. Well, thanks to COVID, now it does.
Give it a year.
But to answer your question, I'm fine with what they're doing. I honestly, again, and I think we've all are kind of in agreement, it's like, it's the goddamn Sorcerer Supreme. It would have been kind of like the Luke Skywalker, like this dude would have just rolled in and be like, Agatha, the name's strange. Right. Okay. Right. Elizabeth Olsen. I mean, sorry. The Scarlet Witch. Come with me. You have training to do, or some bullshit like that. Yeah. I think it's much more interesting seeing Elizabeth. Oh my God. Scarlet Witch.
We know what you mean.
Practice on her own. Dive into chaos magic, and then she's already, I want to see her on that sort of like Broly level, Dragon Ball reference, Broly level, going up against Son Goku, which is Doctor Strange, and then seeing them clash. I want to see them fight for a little while before they realize that they're on the same team, you know?
It's going to happen. The two of them, because their magic is based on two different things, Doctors and Chaos, they're going to end up fighting because they need to create a balance between the two of them. And then what's going to happen is the two of them are going to have to use that said magic to fight something else. So I'm okay with that setup. The break that we had for COVID, I think, on a production level, as far as being able to actually film stuff, was hard. But opposite, it's great because it gives Kevin Feige just more time to keep creating these through lines for other things.
That's what I meant. Yes, thank you, DC-san.
Okay, then I agree with you. Yeah, then it's kind of a good thing. I mean, either way, it's really good because, and let's not forget,
and we're not oversaturated either.
And one of the best points about COVID is the fact that it also allows the time for the Netflix contracts to run out. Like all of last year, literally all the COVID licenses ran out, and we never felt like it was that long because we all were sitting at home not doing anything anyway. So we're good. Yeah. All right, cool. Ronan, thank you so much, man.
Thank you guys. It's an honor. Pleasure.
All right. Yep, thank you. Later, man. Peace. All right. Jay King, what's up?
What's up, Jay King?
What's up, guys?
What's going on, man? Nice Tony Stark glasses. We stole them from Peter. Yeah.
And nice.
Well, I mean, he was irresponsible with them, so.
Okay, as you should be. As you should be. Yeah. All right, so what's up, dude?
None. So you guys were, live streaming, talking about everything that's gone on with WandaVision, and basically, like, did it disappoint? Did it succeed in what it was trying to do? And also the whole angry fans that, didn't get what they wanted. So.
They'll be okay.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
We'll survive.
They'll learn.
Yeah.
Not
just that. I mean, what else are they going to do? There's nothing else to watch.
What was that image out? Oh, you know what? I'm totally gonna repost that thing on Instagram instead, and instead of like, man, the fans are very angry. What the fuck they gonna do? Like that? What the fuck they gonna do?
I'm so pissed off now. I'm just gonna watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I'm gonna hate watch. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god.
We're not always going to be happy with everything that comes out, but I mean, at the same time, be happy.
People are spoiled as shit, man. Yeah, people are spoiled as shit. Like for reals, man. Luke Skywalker shows up once, and then suddenly you think it always needs to be like that.
I'm like, everything I want.
No.
Yeah,
but it has an emotional turn.
Yeah. What's up, Jay? Can you got a question?
Not really. I just wanted to kind of give my feeling on this whole, how the show went, as well as my thoughts on how
and the sad thing about that,
she really looked
is it's true.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She really looked like that's some shit like she would say, like, what the fuck they gonna do, huh?
Like she walked through that whole road at the end, and they were all looking at her salty, and she like, bitch, you better not even try.
Yeah. I feel bad.
They look like they think that
time. It's like they're all suffering from the same trauma now, whether it's her fault or directly or indirectly. They all suffer now. Well, seriously, what are you gonna do?
Right.
So what's up, J King? How did you feel about go for it?
So my thoughts on how this whole thing and also fan backlash. In all honesty, when it comes to how I felt about the show and how I felt like did it succeed in how I wanted it to be? Yeah. Could there have been more? Definitely. But did the fact that there wasn't more make the show entirely bad? Hell no. I enjoyed my time with this. I enjoyed what I came for the show for originally, which is to get more on Scarlet Witch and Vision. They're the title characters. I wanted to know more about them and what the hell was going on in Westview. I didn't really mind all that was going on. Now, I will admit, when the Evan Peters cameo did happen, I almost screamed. But I mean, that's because it's like,
yeah.
But it's like when they revealed the whole Ralph Boner thing, I was like, oh, okay. That was kind of a waste, but that doesn't mean that they won't ever bring in mutants. Like, I remember that there was something saying that Feige's working on some type of film called The Mutants to bring them in. But even so, we still got Doctor Strange. They could show up in that. They could show up in other films. There's still opportunities to bring them in. People are acting like this is the only time this could ever happen.
Or it's the last time that it could happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like, can y'all not appreciate what we got? We literally went through a whole year of no Marvel content. We were supposed to at least get 3 or 4 things last year in both film and Disney Plus, and we got none of that.
Yeah.
And then we finally start getting stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's like we finally start getting it this year.
Had to stop production because of other stuff and then COVID. So I mean,
right.
Be happy we have something going on.
Yeah.
And again,
but I also feel like the criticism is valid at the same time, because fans do have a right to voice their distaste for certain things like that. Like we can still appreciate it and still critique it. I still appreciate that we have Batman films, but BVS is a piece of shit.
But we don't need any more.
I have to slide that one in there real quick. Sorry. But I really appreciate Henry Cavill as Superman, but I don't think they have yet put him in a good movie. So
I can hear the Snyder fans right now.
Right after.
What did Wanda say? What the fuck they gonna do?
Well, after Man of Steel, I don't think they utilized his character as much as they could.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, that's
let's move on
for another time.
Let's move on. We're gonna have this. We're gonna have this discussion next week. Yeah. All right, J King. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, bro. Later. All right, yeah. Join us next week for the big one, the Snyder Cut. Oh god.
Oh yes.
Oh my god. All right, Ashu, what's up, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm all right. I was just thinking about the Snyder Cut, and now I feel sick. Go for it. You have a question?
Really, my one question to you guys is, since this show is basically about the history of sitcom and all that, and I'm an aspiring filmmaker, I also do TV. I wanted to ask you guys, do you guys still keep some of your VCRs or CD tapes of old sitcoms that you maybe watched when you were a kid?
I do not, because I'm anybody who's been over to my house would laugh at this, but I try to consider myself a minimalist, but these fuckers are laughing because you obviously I try to be minimal on this, so I try to throw out the stuff as much as possible, but it doesn't look like it, obviously.
No,
but
it gets moved to the other side of the studio.
Yeah, basically. Oh my god. But if I can, I try to get rid of all of that stuff, and digital for me is just the way to go. I love the nostalgic aspect of all of that stuff, but I am not keeping this shit around just so I can pop it in every 5 years. Just I'm no, when I could literally put in I Love Lucy episode 13. Oh, okay, I'm watching it right now. So yeah, that's just me though. Yeah.
Actually, I do have most of the DVDs that I've ever bought, but recently my wife made me move them into an old suitcase. We put him in an old piece of luggage, and she's like, "I want this out of my face, please." Like, so I got rid of all my DVDs. Actually, I have DVDs and VHS tapes, and that's how old I am. But I don't have a VCR inside, so I don't know why we're keeping them. So I feel like at some point I have to let it go because I'm not going to go acquire a VCR anytime in the future.
That or find either digital versions or Blu-ray versions of it and then get rid of them.
Yeah, like
as far as old DVDs and VHS tapes with little bit that were around when I was a kid are at my parents' house. They've definitely kept them because they're with like my old comic books, old Star Wars figures, Power Ranger figures and posters and stuff. And then DVDs, if I had a chance to upgrade from a DVD to a Blu-ray, I did. And then I either still have some of those DVDs or gave them to like my brother, or they're stuck in storage. I like digital, but I love being able to pick up a Blu-ray or a comic book because it's got paper in it and actually look at it. The physical copies, there's just something about it that I really like. If for some things I'm a minimalist, and for others, not even close. I like, we're sitting there laughing at Akasan's studio, but if you were to see my room, you'd be like, yeah, he's definitely right?
Yeah, like his is, my thing is just like junk, but his stuff looks like, his shit looks like a fucking museum of like, it looks like a toy store basically. Yeah, and I'm like, oh my god.
The last place I had 2 rooms, and one was it was basically a walk-in closet compared to anything back in the States, and that was basically for like small figures or whatever else, and then the main room itself was for collectibles and Blu-rays. So box sets, I love that. I absolutely love it. The artwork is fantastic.
Interesting enough that both the DC Son and I are fans of statues, and like we get invited to Kotobukiya, Hot Toys. We just recently made an appearance at Prime Studio Ones in Shibuya. Prime One Studios. We just recently made an appearance there, and it's some beautiful stuff. But like the last thing I want to do is like, if a fan gives it to me, I appreciate it. But the last thing I want to do is buy something like that, because it's like, I want to take it out, but you also want to keep it in the box. But I'm like, yo, I just spent $1,500 on this goddamn statue. I want everybody to see it. But then, then I got to sit there every year dusting it off, and like,
I'm the opposite. For those, my Hot Toys, so having worked for Hot Toys and Kotobukiya and designing stuff for them, that has always been fun, and I love that I had that opportunity. On the collector side, if there's something that comes out, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting that. I hate taking things out of the boxes, with the exception of something from Prime One, and maybe from Hot Toys, I'll take something specific out or buy 2 of it. But when it comes to Prime One, no, I'm not going to buy 2 of it, because, like you said, it's like $1,500 to like $2,500. But that is definitely coming out of the box and being on display. I have no problem going up to it with a little air can and taking dust off of it every year. Not a problem, because those things are absolutely gorgeous.
They are beautiful. I mean, all I can say is like, just stay tuned for the times. If you actually guys want to check out Prime One Studios, DC Son is the host of a lot of that stuff. So
I'm the host of the Next Level and Stage 1 content for them. Some other stuff is coming out soon. Can't say yet because it's not officially released. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But a lot of the stuff that they have coming out, I think, is fantastic. They will be taking a small shift in direction from American comic book based stuff and adding in more anime content. They'll still have it, but they're going to also bring in more anime content from here on out as well. So stay tuned for that. I know that is gorgeous. That's from Hot Toys.
Isn't it beautiful? This is Hot Toys. This is Hot Toys, but oh my god, this is amazing.
That is already on my wish list.
Yep, it is amazing.
She's my favorite Avenger on the female side. She's just awesome.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no removable clothes, but yeah, it's all good. Shoot, thank you so much, man. Thank you for calling in.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
All right, we got to burn through these guys because I have to leave in like 5 minutes. So Jedi Mike, what's up, man?
How you guys doing?
We're good.
Nice to meet. I already talked to Akasan and Tyrone, but DC-san, finally meet you, man. You're my fan casting for Jon Stewart for the Snyder Cut. But yeah,
Much love, man. Thank you. Let's keep pushing that because I want it.
Yeah,
I'll even take an alternate universe Superman if that's all they have available. I don't care.
Right. Yeah. But so to make it quick, going on to the question about the whole thing about mutants, I was with Akasan when I saw the reaction video. It was like the moment when she got out of the bed and saying, like, talking about, oh, is it all a dream? Once it, once the show's over, it's just all a dream. Yeah. And then she reached over for the missile, and then before they cut away, she got snatching out of, talking to Agatha. That was not, to me, that was not a coincidence that they, that was just for they're in a dream sequence. I think Marvel purposely did that because if Far From Home, if they're gonna go all the way back to the first Iron Man movie and get an extra that Obadiah Stane was yelling at as a helpmate for Mysterio, that was just too obvious. Where it's like, oh yeah, and then she said, my theory, you did a probability hex, and I was watching other videos or shows like John Campea saying, oh no, she's just a witch. I don't buy that. I don't buy that for 1 second. You're not gonna tell me that. Okay, she's a witch. What about Pietro? Everyone just want to forget about. Oh, they're twins. So if she have she's a witch. Was he? It's like just like Falcon said. Oh yeah, you're just a wizard without a hat or something like that. No. So, but yeah, that's just. I don't think that is a coincidence right there. But yeah, and the whole thing with the DNA changing with Monica. And first of all, Monica Rambeau. She is now she's become one of my favorite characters now, but she's now making it more me of a fan of Captain Marvel. God can't stand the movie, but that's just my personal opinion. But hopefully Captain Marvel 2 they add on to that. But yeah, she was a great character in that addition, and Jimmy Woo and everything. And Akasan, I feel you. Why didn't they have Darcy Lewis as a Baywatch moment when they came in, man? Like seriously, or like the two broke girls, like. But
she doesn't deny it. She doesn't deny those things. We're talking. Fuck the release the Snyder cut. I want to release the Darcy chess.
Right, and even going to the future, like let's say whenever they bring Magneto and stuff like that, and I'm not gonna buy those rumors of them trying to say, well, let's just make Magneto black, whatever. Like, nah, I'm not buying that until I see it. But with the whole thing with Wanda, her costume and stuff, like I thought that was one of the best costumes they made. But I think that what they're going to probably do is that, okay, if we can't bring Pietro back, they can bring in Polaris, the other sister, because there's three. And try to have some sibling relationship. Because even when Evan Peters did out, and I was frustrated with it, but I was expecting it to happen. But the whole scene of him was just being the uncle with the kids, and then when they're at the Halloween event and just talking to Wanda. Yeah, and mom and dad will like this, and just having that brother-sister relationship. We saw a brief of that in Age of Ultron, but this was actually good. I mean, I think, no offense, I think Evan Peters is a better actor than Aaron Taylor Johnson. That's just my opinion. In terms of Quicksilver, the character, but they just had a better bond like that, and I just felt like that's just a missed opportunity to have that. And if we can't bring him back, then so be it. But I think they're gonna bring in Polaris because, even in the show, Gifted, they had her headpiece too. So it's they can do something along with that and everything. So that's what I think they're probably going to do.
Were you bothered by the change in the twins as kids in two different scenes? They were two different kids.
Wait, do I have an issue? Yeah, do I have an issue? What?
So when they were doing a flashback, so to speak, of Wanda and Pietro as kids, you see them in two different flashbacks, and they're different kids.
Yeah.
You ain't right. And you ain't right. And they're two different sets of actors. Did that bother you at all, or does it bug you? Do you think do you think it meant anything, or?
So with the director, the same thing with Akasan. I watched the video on Disney Plus about the assembled featurette and everything. I feel like with the interviews they had with the director Matt Shackman, he was more telling on that than the actual episode from Disney Plus. But when it was saying about oh yeah, Evan Peters is just a joke, it's so you're gonna put the investment of having him come in, even coloring his hair back the way to make it look like this Aaron Taylor Johnson, and then turn out saying it's Evan Peters, and then to make some type of fake like flashback scene with 2 different actors. To me, that was simplifying. Like, oh, like when she said the line, like, "Oh, I don't remember that." Oh, you just probably suppressing it because of trauma. I'm like, no, he's remembering his reality, not hers.
Exactly.
You know,
Oh,
right?
Okay.
That's what I was thinking they're gonna do.
okay.
Jedi, I appreciate it. I got to move on because I
Peace out,
literally got to catch
Peace
that.
out.
I appreciate it, man.
Thanks,
Thank you
man.
so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go. We got to make a really quick Autobot. What's up?
Hey, so
Hey.
here's the big problem with the whole mutants thing. Okay, so for one thing, Kevin Feige said back when they got the rights, like, look, I've already got the next 5 years planned. The getting the rights back isn't going to change my plans. We'll get to them eventually, but there's that. And here's the other problem with like the idea of like the hex creates the mutants. Basically, you're basically turning them into Inhumans. Because you're just saying a mysterious force causes a bunch of people to suddenly get powers. Like, I mean, I know that Inhuman stuff is weird right now, but I don't know. It's just plus it takes away the whole history.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Okay. And I get your point. I get your point. Kevin Feige has a plan. Trust in Feige. We don't want to mess it all up. Autobot, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah, thanks, Autobot.
Thank you so much, man. Sorry, I had to rush that one. I literally need to stop in like 2 minutes, guys. So that's why I'm fucking up. I have class at 3:00, so I gotta head to Shibuya now. So yep. I gotta be like Quicksilver. Gotta go fast. Thank you. I apologize to my guests, LaWanda and Vision. We couldn't have them on for today, but you know, maybe we'll get them on the show next time. What you know about that? What you know about all that? Yeah.
That's my first time saying those, and it's like, oh my goodness.
Really? You
What
don't know
have I
about?
missed? Bro, I've been on set. I've been on set. Literally for
There's a whole.
When we were talking the other day, and you made this joke about was it
Vision?
Vision? I'm like, what
yeah,
the
Vision.
hell?
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
So
And
that
then
whole
I've
scene.
seen this, and it's like, what?
Because the whole thing is, okay, so Vision's body is half vibranium, if not more. So technically he's African. So technically he's black. And then he was developed in Korea. So he's part black, he's part Korean, he's part white with Jarvis, Starkly, but so we call him Vision like that. So yeah. So his whole thing is
Vision.
yeah, no, Vision. Like, and the thing is, we all know a nigga that look like this in the hood, bro. He's like, I'm trying to be like you, big brother. we all know a dude that look like this over on Gramercy Park and shit.
That's The Rock. He just needs a fanny pack.
Like this was like yeah. Anyways, we'll talk about Vision a little bit later next time, man. Because that's a whole story. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Yeah, join us. You guys know what the deal is next week. Join me on Twitch if you want to watch Batman v Superman, the IMAX cut or something like that. And then after that, of course, the Snyder cut. And I think we'll be back next week for a huge ass discussion on the Snyder cut. Oh boy.
Yo, I gotta have my Superman and Wonder Woman fixed before they're no longer in those roles, because it seems like they don't know what they're gonna do with everybody. So I'm trying to enjoy it for as long as I can.
Yeah.
Until next.
You guys take care of yourselves. All of you guys take care of yourselves. Yeah. We'll talk to you next week. Okay. We're out of here, guys. Later. Peace.